So preparation. Here we are in the book of Leviticus, Vayikra. And there's kind of an obsession with preparation and getting ready. It's all around the priests. All around the priests in this book. They do so much preparing and then doing, but kind of weighted on the scale towards preparing in terms of the ratio between preparing and doing. And here in this book, in Vayikra, when you go to rabbinical school, an interesting thing, and you can ask there are several other rabbi students here, so you can ask them if it was true for them. But in year one, they tend to give you biblical scholarship, which I think is really fascinating because we're all like, yeah, we're into it. We love it. We believe it with deep faith. And they're like, here's who wrote the Bible. And you're like, what? I think it's a way of maybe like weeding us out. Although most people know that there's like a historical, of course. But they get really in the weeds. And one of the things that's really interesting about this book that they say is in fact not interesting at all. They say, oh, it was written by the priests. I was like, you kidding? This entire book that's like so focused on the priests was written by the priests? Okay, I believe that historically. So, written or divinely transcribed, Vayikra is filled with information about the priests, what they are to do, how they are to serve in offering the korbanot and offering the sacrifices. And also here it is a lot about what they can and cannot do and who they can and cannot be. So to prepare, there are things that they can do, like there's special garments, like special washing and anointing, and there's things they can't do, like have a smooth shave of any part of the head. And painfully, there are also things listed here that they cannot have as a part of their body. Things that this word mum, that's translated as a defect, that they can't have things on their body like being blind or having a disability. Elsewhere in the book of Job, I just want to bring up that this same concept of mum is used to talk about a moral stain or a character defect, which is a way that I hope, right, that all of our leaders are in a place where they don't have any character defects. But it is the place that I want to draw out tonight is around all this preparing. But I also don't want to skip over in a way that doesn't confront the fact that there is a painful section here about who can and cannot be a priest. So in the preparation, as I meditated on the Parsha, I kept thinking about, wow, the ratio between preparing and doing. And that is just not what we do mostly in our lives. Mostly in our lives, we are just thrown in, and we are always arriving without much preparation, much spiritual preparation. And I also was thinking about how we read this Parsha about the priest's preparation in this period of the spring, where it's becoming kind of later spring, and there's so many transitions. People are changing school and work and relationships. People are coming into your house or leaving your house or coming back to your house, or what are all the changes that are happening. And every year when we read this Parsha, there is a place that asks us to think about how are we preparing for all the changes that are happening in our lives. We talked a little earlier about they may be a change that you've wanted, or maybe a change that's happening to you. And sometimes when it's happening to you and we haven't made this choice, we might put off the preparation. It makes sense. We don't want it. And yet this spiritual technology that we're offered from our ancients around preparation, around mindfully and intentionally preparing, is a very large portion of what it is to have a spiritual practice. Because what it asks us to do is to be intentional in our lives. And in that intention, it brings presence. So before we embark on a change or a transition or just acknowledge something that's already happened, that we are in the midst of, what would it be like to take a cue from these ancient priests and think, what could be a way I could prepare for what is happening? And depending on what's happening, you could draw from this rich tradition. We have wearing of special clothes. We have washing and anointing and sacred washing in mikveh. We have prayers and blessings. There are so many blessings to draw upon in our tradition. And yes, indeed, you can write your own blessings. And reflection. The reflection time that all of this gives, in the process that priests go through, in the process in which they are putting on special clothes, in which they are washing feet, in which they are anointing, there is reflection. It asks to slow down, to think about what's coming. And we can extend that idea to how do we want to reflect before something happens. Maybe we want to draw or paint or dance or move or journal. Maybe, especially, we want to sit down with somebody in our lives and say, would you enter into a place of preparation with me? Something is coming, and it's amazing, and I want to prepare. And it's horrible, and I want to prepare. Or it's, I have no idea what to think about it, but I want to prepare. And maybe I don't know what to think about it because I haven't made the space yet for the preparation. For all you planners out there, you might be very excited right now. Like Rabbi Susan is speaking my language. And you might even be a calendar person. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to that's good. Right away, I'll go ahead and put that on my calendar. Prepare for these things. Fantastic. That's a great tool to use when it's not Shabbat. Reflect on the changes that are coming would be a really nice calendar entry. If you have a creative way of saying that, send that to me. Reflect on the changes that are coming for this 1 hour or 3 hours or an entire day. And for those of you who are very much not calendar people, I see you too, I feel you. This is about asking somebody to help you. I'm in this place, something is shifting. I want to slow down and prepare for it. Would you remind me? Or you're so good at that calendaring stuff. Can I give you my phone and you put it right there? I remember the time when I had a really big lesson about preparing. And this is also for the big planners. I want to make it really clear that when we prepare, we're cultivating intentions, but not a plan. I'll say that again. We are cultivating intentions, but not a plan. Because we don't always know how things are going to go. But we can show up with intention. So a few short years ago, when I was about to, in the process of getting ready to give birth to my first kid, and all of you who know him so tall and looking over me with his little mustache know maybe it wasn't that short time ago. And I also, by the way, am thinking about how this is a parsha we read around graduations, and he is about to have one. So anyway, I was pregnant, and I was getting ready to getting prepared for the birth, and everybody was talking about their birth plan. And people had some really great plans. This was the music, the exact song they were going to play. This one, and then the baby comes out, and it's this one. And then this is the aromatherapy that I want to have, and it's going to be all ready. And this is the kind of candle I want lit. And I was like, oh man, these people have a plan. I got to make a plan. They have a plan. And then I met the fantastic midwife, Leslie Stewart, the grande dame of LA midwives, and she was the midwife for me and my nieces and nephews. And I met her. I was like, Leslie, everybody has a plan. She looked straight in my eyes. She was a no-nonsense woman, and she said, no plans. No plans, no birth plans, because it never goes the way that you think, and if you have a plan, it's just going to get in your way. And then she shared with me, she wanted me to have intentions. and to do the work, the breath work, the massage work, all of it, to have intentions about what to do. But she wanted to be really clear that it was not going to go as planned, and plans get in the way of labor, which she reminded me meant work. Intentions, not plans. So right now is a really beautiful moment in our calendar to think about preparation, because we are in a 7-week cycle of preparation. Yet another nudge from our ancients that we shouldn't just get somewhere, but we should prepare along the way, because we are in this 7 weeks between Passover and Shavuot, where we're counting the Omer. And every day we count another day. We're going to do that in a little while tonight. Our tradition tells us now, and we have another 7 weeks later when we count from Tisha B'Av to Rosh Hashanah, that we get there and we suck out the beauty and the life force of these holidays and the spiritual teachings when we prepare to arrive into them. So the rabbis creatively made this connection between Passover and Shavuot. It was originally about barley and counting barley and agriculture, and they connected it to the getting ready to receive Torah, which is what we're doing, what we're celebrating at Shavuot. So don't just show up, like get ready to receive. And the people got ready when we learned that story in Exodus, so we should get ready. And over time, the Kabbalists added to that it's spiritual preparation, that every week should be another manifestation of Sfirot, of the divine, and then we're preparing deeply, spiritually. At Nefesh, we do that with the Midot. This year, we've been cultivating bitachon for these 7 weeks together, cultivating trust, so that when we can be ready for the state we are going to arrive in. And I can imagine some of you are like, yeah, I would have liked to have 7 weeks, but I'm in it now, and I didn't prepare, and what do I do now? Because it is unfolding around me. So in addition to the big piece of neon art that I want, if there's a neon, I say that out loud several times a year, just in case there's a neon artist here who's ready. But the one I want says, "You are not alone." That's one. I talked about that before. The other one I want, this is a little bit longer, maybe I can make it shorter, but it says, "It's not too late. Start now." That's the other thing about spiritual learning, that we go, down the road, I'm going to have some time to really do that stuff. I'll meditate later. I'll pray. It's just going to happen. No, friends, it's not going to happen. You start with like 3 minutes today and 5 minutes tomorrow and 10 minutes the next day of having a moment of blessing and prayer, of having a time for reflection so that you can get there. So if you're inside of something that you really wished you had prepared for, well, start right now, because it is continuing to unfold. So how can you be inside of the arriving while you are preparing? Yes, you can. So there is a teaching I want to leave you with by the Sfas Emes about this period of time, and he connects it to the Parsha we're reading about the priests, to the counting of the Omer. And he says this preparation of the priests and the Omer, he says we have to be in a special state in order to receive Torah. And what we are doing in this counting of the Omer is we are getting into this special state so that we can study Torah and receive wisdom and study it. But he said, in order to get there, we also, he says, Gam ze emet, it's also true that the way to get there is to study the Torah. So we want to be preparing to receive Torah. And how do we do that? We study Torah. So the arriving is the preparing. He says, Mamayim, just as water purifies us, so does Divrei Torah. And then he goes on to this next step, where he says, and what is Torah? He says, everything can be Torah. We can find words of Torah everywhere. Just as he says, Lashon Hara, our speech can be destructive, it's the same pathway, our mouths, to having what he calls Lashon Kodesh, holy speech, healing speech. So he says, a Jew must have faith that everything is Torah. And the work is to find divrei Torah, b'chol makom, in all of the different places. So we need to prepare to receive Torah. And how do we prepare? We go through Torah. And what is Torah? Torah is everything. As my teacher would say, any way can be a way as long as you make it a way. As Rabbi Mel tells us, any way can be a way as long as you make it a way. So if you are inside of it now, you don't have to pay a lot of money to go to a retreat to figure this out, friends. I can save you that money. You just start right here where you are. Start in this place of reflecting. Start in this place of what am I preparing for? What are my intentions? Because my intentions will bring me deeper into this moment. When we do a life cycle, we prepare. Often it's the B'nai Mitzvah process is a lot longer, right, Hannah, than just the day itself? Years, in fact, that you have been with us at Makom, learning and studying. That's the preparation, and it's not just for the event, it's for the lifetime and the wedding and the preparing. I have just experienced a life cycle moment in that it was the first yahrzeit of my mom's death, just happened. And in it, I felt myself a little resistant to the preparation. But I did it. I got ready for the day itself. We had a minyan here, had the candle ready for the 24 hours. We had a group of us walked around Echo Park Lake because she would love that and want us to do that and be together and tell stories. So inside of the preparing, I felt so many different feelings. I was stunned that it had been this cycle around the seasons of the year. And also, I was feeling the wisdom and the push from our ancestors to prepare, to get ready for the rituals of this day. But I was also feeling that I don't want any of this. I just want her to be here. And when changes happen to us that we don't want, it can feel especially hard to prepare for these rituals. And yet, they are particularly important in this place when we don't want them, because we are indeed here. Presence means presence with all of it. I was preparing in order to let whatever unfolded happen, to be ready for this moment here. I did on that day feel held inside of the rituals, and I did feel a crossing of a threshold. I'm very much still grieving. And there is a threshold of movement in the crossing of the first full cycle of seasons. And an openness, a readiness to what unfolds. So may you prepare with intention to meet, to open to what is unfolding in your life. May this preparation happen as you see it coming towards you. May this intention come as you are in the midst of it, as we open to the rivers of life washing over us. May we get ready right here, right here. Shabbat Shalom.
I'll be ready. I'm ready to have the rivers wash over me. I'm ready to have the rivers wash over me. And if it's love,